Where is Daredevil?
I'm right here. Don't miss the return of Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again.
So what's next?
I feel liberated.
We're gonna take this city back.
Over medicated.
In an all-new season, now streaming only on Disney+.
They're hunting us. It's time we started hunting them.
I can work with that.
That nobody gives.
This should be tons of fun.
Marvel Television's Daredevil Born Again, now streaming only on Disney+.
How do I explain to my young grandbabies that the loss of their mother's life is still not being taken seriously?
This podcast is brought to you by Carvana. Selling your car should feel like one less thing on your list, not one more. With Carvana, it is. Just go to Carvana.com, enter your license plate or VIN, and get a real offer down to the penny. No back and forth, no surprises, just an experience you can trust. Like your offer? Accept it. Schedule pickup, and we'll come to you with a check in hand. Your car, your timeline, your terms. Visit Carvana.com to sell your car today.
Carvana.
Pickup fees may apply.
You are now listening to The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay on Spotify. A podcast aimed to uncover and share the stories behind heinous and insane acts that have been overlooked or overshadowed by mainstream media, getting justice for the voices that can't speak.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Kay, and I am the host of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast, a podcast designed to focus on crimes committed in the Black community that you don't hear about in mainstream media, giving a voice to those victims that have otherwise been silenced. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast with me, Kay, the Texas girl in a Georgia world, baby. Ladies, how y'all feel? Fellas, y'all all right? It is Sunday, May 17th, 2026, and I am feeling amazing. I hope y'all are as well. It's been a pretty good week, I must say. Gave my body what it really needed, and that was some rest, child, because, whew. Oh, and I went to the movies to see Is God Is, which was so good. Vivica Fox did her big one on that, honey. Sterling K. Brown, Erica Alexander, Janelle Monáe. It was such a great movie, okay? And I cooked me a good meal today, and I'm getting my episode out. So, all in all, today was a good day. Now, what y'all sipping on tonight? I got my bottle of Pellegrino and some popcorn. Y'all know that by now. Listen, I cooked all that daggum food and I'm in here eating popcorn. It's a damn shame. But anyway, let's get into it. Hop on in and buckle up because we taking a ride back to 2023 in Ocala, Florida. Now, 2023 wasn't that long ago. It was a booming year with Fantasia's rendition of The Color Purple. Baby, when I say I downloaded that thing super fast because Danielle Brooks as Sophia, had to see it, okay? Definitely watched that thing on Amazon like 8 times. Chris Brown had us under the influence. Michael B. Jordan and Jonathan Majors swept the box office with Creed 3 and brought up a whole lot of conversation online about affection toward Black men, by the way. Nicki Minaj and Ice Spice took us to a Barbie world, and Halle Bailey did an outstanding performance in The Little Mermaid as the Black Mermaid, and that voice of hers proved that she earned that, okay? But in Ocala, Florida, a woman was giving the literal definition of a Karen. Now, we know Florida is one of them states where all kind of crazy shit happens. And baby, this chick right here is the bona fide definition of crazy. Y'all ready to get into it? Y'all know what time it is. Let's get it. This week's case involves Ajike Owens, the victim, Israel Owens, witness and victim, Isaac Owens, witness and victim, and the infamous murderer of the week, Susan Lorincz. Ajike Chantrell Owens was born on April 4th, 1988, to Pamela Diaz and the late Billy Owens. She had one brother, Otis Diaz. Now, her name was Ajike, but everybody on the block called her AJ. And if you know anything about Aries women, you know they are born leaders, determined, passionate, and fiercely protective. She was born in Brooklyn, New York, a place that hammers a certain kind of strength into your bones. When you talk to those close to the family, they'll tell you that AJ's name wasn't just a label, it was a destiny. In certain cultures, names that begin with AJI often carry meanings tied to being precious or the first. And from the jump, Pamela and Billy knew they had someone special in their daughter. Her parents provided a foundation of faith and resilience. And growing up in a household where family wasn't just a word but a verb, it was something that she did every day. It shaped how AJ viewed the world. Her mother Pamela described her as a child who was always grown beyond her years, having that type of personality that, was always trying to be in the mix. She was one of them kids where you was always having to tell her to stay out of grown folks' business. Listen, I know it all too well because I heard it growing up as a child many a time myself, okay? I can't count how many times my grandmama would tell me to keep my nosy ass out of grown folks' business, and I'd be right there in the midst of it anyway. So obviously, we know that AJ was very inquisitive, but she was also the type of child that was an extrovert, like not the loud, overbearing kind. She was the kind of kid who, noticed the person sitting alone and made it her mission to bring them into the mix. Friends from her youth said that she was bubbly, and that's a word that gets used a lot, but for her, it kind of fit like a glove. She had this infectious, high energy spirit, and she was also incredibly protective. Like, even as a young girl, if there was an argument or a fight among friends or siblings, AJ was the mediator. She was the peacemaker. She had a voice that commanded respect, but, a heart that made you want to listen to her. And she was also deeply involved in her community and in her church. Like, this woman was literally God's child, in my opinion. She was just that sweet. She was the type of kid who would give away her own snacks or toys if she thought another kid needed them more. There was a selflessness in her that was evident before this baby even hit middle school. And the older that she got, she focused more on her education. She attended schools in Lake County, Florida, where she really kind of got the opportunity to sharpen her leadership skills. So in school, AJ wasn't just like, one of those random faces in the hallway. She was the scholar, the leader. She had a mind for organization and a talent for communication, too. Teachers remembered her as someone who was reliable and dependable. So, like if a project needed a leader or some type of direction, AJ was the first to step up. She had a way of balancing, being one of the kids with having a level of responsibility that won over the faculty. And that's hard because when you are that type of kid, especially now when you that type of kid and the faculty kind of points you out and focuses on you're the nerd, you're the kiss ass, all of that. But AJ had that balance. And so she eventually attended and graduated from Eustis High School. And we all know high school can be a shark tank, but AJ, she solidified her reputation as the protector. She was, one of the good ones. She was the friend you called when you were down. She was the one who kept the group together. Now, after high school, she continued to pursue her dreams with the same fire. She was a hard worker. She would juggle multiple responsibilities to make sure that she was building a future that she could be proud of. She didn't wanna just have a job, she wanted to be of service, whether, she was working in hospitality or her career in management. Her goal was always the same: make the environment better than how she found it. I know that's right. Put a little bit of AJ everywhere. That's what's up. And so, as she transitioned from that, little bubbly child to womanhood, AJ did what a lot of women do. She became a mom. And she became the mother of four children: three sons, Isaac, Israel, Titus, and a daughter, Africa. And she raised her children the same way she was raised to be. The resilience of Brooklyn, the grace of the South, the strength of her faith, she poured it into her children. And you could tell the love that she had for her kids. Like she was the team mom, the cheerleader in the stands, the one, that's my baby, and all the games and all of that. Don't act like y'all don't do that because I know I do. But she was also the disciplinarian in the home. She was a person who believed that a neighborhood should be a village. One of those, okay, well, if you get in trouble, folks in the neighborhood, they gonna get you. She was neighborly herself. She believed that children should be able to play and, mothers should be able to protect. Like one of her neighbors said that, she wanted her son to play football, but the mom couldn't get her son to the trials. So AJ took it upon herself, took the baby and was like, all right, I got you, and took him to the tryouts. That's just the type of mom she was. Like, she's one of those, all right, if my child is gonna be there, or if your child needs it and I can help, I got you. And I'm the same way. Lord knows I got bonus kids in my house because I swear folks be thinking these my kids. I'm like, listen, I do not have this many children, y'all, okay? I may look it, but I don't. But I treat them like my babies. And so, like I said, she was that type of neighbor. Her upbringing taught her that you don't back down when things are wrong. You don't, shy away. You always lead with love first. And that's what she instilled in her children. Her children literally were her why. They were the reason she worked those long shifts and the reason that she remained so deeply rooted in her faith. Now, AJ raised her children in Ocala, Florida, and she created a loving home that was, like I said, it was defined by love and lots of activity. She wasn't just a mother who watched from the sidelines. She wasn't one that had the TV raising her kids. She was a team mom in every sense of the word, whether it was football or cheerleading. Baby AJ was there organizing, cheering, and making sure that them kids knew that they had a village behind them. And, she's doing all of this as a single mom too. Like she's incredibly intentional about their upbringing. She didn't want her kids to just be happy. She wanted them to be savvy and resilient. And it was so cute. She even started a small neighborhood business with her kids. They sold something called Lily Dillies, which were like frozen treats. And she did that to teach them the basics of economics and, showing them the value of a dollar from a young age. Listen, I was the candy lady back in the day, okay? Like, I had me a little hustle going. I would come to school with boxes of candy and be on my grind selling candy left and right. So I ain't mad at it. That's how you teach them, okay? Teach them early. But that was her. And, her children remember her as gentle and kind. She was a mother who gave from the heart, and she taught her kids to do the same. She was their teacher, she was their biggest fan. But most important, she was their protector. And it was too bad that she needed to protect them from their own neighbor. And that neighbor was Susan Lawrence. Now, I think in my promo video, I said her name was Susan Lorincz, but it actually is Lawrence. It's just spelled different. It's like Lorincz. So it's pronounced Lawrence, but for whatever reason, I said Lawrence in the promo video. But anyway. Susan Louise Lawrence was born July 23rd, 1964, in Chicago, Illinois, to Stephen and Mildred Lawrence. To kind of put it in perspective, like she grew up in an era of transition, like the tail end of the baby boomer generation. Growing up in the Chicago suburbs in the 1960s and 70s provided a kind of a backdrop of, structured middle class life. And she and her sister Ellen grew up in a family that valued privacy. Her parents were focused on providing a stable environment, but as Susan grew older, those who knew the family noticed a personality that was like increasingly described as difficult and withdrawn. Even as a child, she was noted for having a low tolerance for noise and a high sensitivity to the activities of those around her. While some children are described as social butterflies, Susan was more of a solitary figure. Like this wasn't just a phase, it seemed to be a foundational part of how she navigated the world from a very young age. I bet she did. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying to behave, but ooh, this heifer's making it hard. I don't like her. So Susan attended local schools in the Illinois area, but she kind of faded into the background. Like she wasn't the student who was recognized for her athletic achievements or, being the life of the party. Instead, she was remembered by some of her classmates as a student who kept to herself, often finding it difficult to integrate into the larger social groups that, define the typical American high school experience. And there's a specific kind of isolation that can happen in a crowded school. And for Susan, that isolation seemed to just breed a certain level of irritability toward her peers. Like she was just a complete bitch to classmates, which was crazy to me because I'm like, okay, girl, you are a young blonde female. Why are you having difficulty being popular? Like, okay, nope. Nope, nope, nope. Imma wait. Imma wait. Imma wait till fair or foul. It's too early. But basically, she was getting on her classmates' nerves with how irritating she was. She was a loner, and allegedly she came from a background of trauma. So the court records mentioned a history of sexual abuse and being raised in a home shadowed by mental illness and addiction. How true that is, I don't know. But she did good at things where she could work by herself, but she just didn't really do well in groups. And as she got older, those quality traits only got worse. By the time she moved to Florida, she had welcomed this like isolated, hardcore, socially withdrawn individual. Like that's how she became. She didn't, there wasn't much background on her as far as criminal wise, other than like an eviction. But, she was just the type of person where she was very withdrawn. If it was too noisy, it was a problem for her. She didn't like to be disrupted. And if she felt like she was disrupted, she was quick to call the cops. Like, okay. I'm sorry, wait, y'all. Okay, so when I was looking up the research for this episode, there was this one website that I went to about who Susan Lawrence was. And it had like everything about her on there, right? It had like her parents' names, her full name, her date of birth, her siblings' name, all of that. And the line for her nickname said Karen. I'm sorry. I don't know why that tickles me so much, but damn, it literally said nickname Karen. Okay, I'm sorry, y'all. Oh god, okay. Whew, I'm back. I'm sorry. Okay. So Susan moves to Ocala, Florida, which is in Marion County, into a neighborhood that, is full of families. She moves into an apartment complex and it's got a lot of life. There's children playing and neighbors interacting. And for most people, this is the sound of a healthy community, right? Oh, not for Susan's old behind. Oh, no. The sounds of joy meant trouble for Susan's little decrepit self. Baby, she and the Marion County Sheriff's Office became the best of friends. She was what we know as a frequent caller. She started doing this long before her confrontation with AJ. She pretty much started calling the police the minute she moved in. She would call the authorities to report what she was calling nuisances. And I'm not talking about like reports of burglaries or violent crimes. No mobbers. No. These were calls about children playing in a common area or kids being too loud near her property, like dead ass. Calling because kids were being kids, not at nighttime, not on her property, but near her property during the daytime. Like, I mean, this Delulu Tales from the Crypt Keeper kept calling the cops on these babies damn near every day. And, the cops will come out there and what do they see? children playing in an open field or on a sidewalk. Like, how the fuck is that being a nuisance? There were no laws being broken. There was no one harassing her. But yet, Susan's deliverance looking ass just had it set in her mind that somehow her privacy was being violated. She was using law enforcement at her disposal, then would turn around and curse at the kids. She would record the children while they were playing, saying, "Oh, they're being a nuisance. Oh, they're being a problem. Oh, they're harassing me. Oh, I'm afraid," and all kind of stuff, taking pictures of them. Like, the fuck? I'm sorry, but law enforcement, this chick would have went to jail a long time ago for misuse of 911. Like, girl, you calling 911 because kids are playing? Maybe if your barren nope. You know what? Nope. I'ma save it for fair or foul. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm trying. But all those times that she wasted calling the cops to come out over some noise disturbance and there was none. Like, lock her up. But for whatever reason, they did not do that. She would call them little 3 digits from behind her little doors. And, the neighbors described her as a recluse. She lived behind her door. But she was always watching. She was always taking pictures. She was always recording. She was always doing something, getting in their business. There were reports that she would record the neighborhood children on her phone, recording them playing like it was, illegal or something. And then one day she actually got a little brave and she cranked it up a notch. Yeah, little Miss MAGA got bold and started talking shit. Not to the parents, though, but to the kids. Ooh, baby. Susan was known for shouting at them neighborhood kids, calling them everything but a child of God. Like, she wanted it quiet over in her area. She didn't give a damn who she upset. She would throw rocks and hide her hand, especially when she was confronted by the parents. Like, she was all knuck if you buck with the kids in the neighborhood, but turned into praise is what I do, little old Sophia from Golden Girls, when the parents would come at her on how she was talking to the kids. So I know y'all are like, well, what's the drama really about? Why was Susan so determined to call the police? So since January 2021, the Marion County Sheriff's Office started becoming a regular fixture on the block. We're talking about at least 6 documented calls over a 2-year time span involving Susan and AJ's houses. Why? Because of a patch of damn grass. Yeah. Y'all heard right. Some damn grass. Ooh, child, the entitlement. See, Susan lived in this 1-story unit that had like this little field next to it, right? Now, to clarify, Susan did not own the unit, okay? She was renting the unit. She did not own the land that was next to the unit. Her landlord, Charles Gabert, owned the land, okay? But Susan wasn't trying to hear that shit. In her entitled ass Rosewood living mind, she just knew that it was her land. Fuck the fact that it was there before she moved in. Fuck the fact that it was owned by Charles Gabert. Fuck the fact that it was a common area and the kids played there. Susan was really starting to piss other people off. She was annoying to everybody that she encountered. One neighbor described Susan as being angry all the time. Not just frustrated, but just like consumed with it. Every time them babies in the neighborhood stepped foot on that grass, she was there being a complete bi. Like, her neighbor said that she would verbally harass them. She would be like leaning out of her patio area to shout hateful things while they were just being kids trying to play. I'm talking about babies 10 and under. Like, she wanted to shut them down. She wanted to shut them up, really. She would always try to use her trauma and be like, oh, I'm so scared. Oh my gosh. Scared of kids? Bitch, really? You starting with that? Y'all, I ain't gonna make it to fair or foul. I swear. Whew, I ain't gonna make it. Like I said, Susan was a frequent flyer with 911. She would call constantly claiming that she was being harassed or that people were trespassing on her grass. And according to the arrest affidavit and the police records a little bit later on down the line, Susan didn't just yell. She attacked who those children were. Y'all, she admitted to investigators that she used racial slurs towards AJ's babies. I'm talking about calling little kids niggers. Not niggas, niggers with the ER. That hard ER. Yes, ma'am, Pam. We talking about referring to little children as black slaves. And this is where I start to think,
No, you done fucked up, right? No. You know you done fucked up, right?
child, whew, any credibility that she even thought that she had was gone after that. Like, you really expect somebody to have sympathy for your pre-civil rights. Get on from round here. Get 'em, Jim Bob, Miss Laura from Django looking ass. When you talking to kids like this wasn't just a neighborly dispute anymore. This was some deep-seated systemic hate being directed at kids who hadn't even hit their teens yet. Innocent children. Let that sit in your spirits, mobbers. Clearly, Susan didn't see these children as neighbors, but as targets. And on that night that everything changed, that verbal hate turned physical. See, Susan threw a pair of roller skates at AJ's 10-year-old son, Israel, hitting him right in the foot. Now, she allegedly swung an umbrella at another child in that shared space. I guess calling the cops wasn't an option for her anymore. I don't know. I guess now she just decided she was going to handle shit herself. But everything escalated on the night of June 2nd, 2023. AJ's kids, Israel, Isaac, Africa, and Titus were all outside playing, having a good time. Now, Israel had his skates and tablet, and he and Isaac were playing with another neighborhood kid. Now, it is a little late in the evening, it's a little dark, but the kids are outside having fun nonetheless. And old wolf pussy Susan must have sensed the laughter because their joy soon turned to fear. Now, I'm going to play the 911 call that Susan made before the tragedy so you can hear for yourselves how she played this shit out. Okay? Take a listen.
911, what is the address of emergency?
1662 Southwest 107th Lane.
Hi, and then can you repeat that for me one more time to make sure I have it correct?
1662 Southwest 107th Lane.
All right, what is your phone number in case you get disconnected?
352-777-5909.
What is your name?
Susan.
I'm sorry, you said your name was Susan?
Yes.
And what was your last name, Susan?
Lorincz, Lorinc.
All right, and tell me exactly what happened.
I got kids trespassing again. They're leaving all the toys around. They just screaming, yelling, just being absolutely obnoxious. I went into the roller skates over to the other side. The kid says, I'm going to beat you up for that. And he's mouthing off to me.
All right.
Right in my own home.
All right, is he out there right now?
Yeah, there are several kids out there right now, and I'm fearing for my life. I'm very scared.
Okay. And what unit number are you in?
3.
Unit 3, okay.
Yeah.
Do they also live in the same building?
No, they live across the street.
Were there any weapons involved?
No.
How many people are involved?
Earlier, there was about 20 kids out there screaming, yelling, asked them to leave. They're like, screw you. Now there's 3 boys.
3?
Yes.
Okay.
That's nice. You can use your first and then be a so without the call. But rectify safety that and team that so that
and the kid saying I took his iPad and all this other shit was just for the owner. Yeah, it was a roller skates, and I don't want to get hanging with his children.
Right, and are they white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
I think one who's Hispanic, the other two are black.
And then the Hispanic, how old would you say he was?
Yeah, 12.
12? All right. Were they all about the same age?
Yeah.
All right. All right, and then the Hispanic male, what is he wearing?
He starts out, I think, a t-shirt and pants on.
Do you know what color T-shirt?
No, I couldn't tell my dad.
Okay.
I just don't like them coming around my house. They've been coming onto my deck, my patio, and telling me, get up, when I'm watching TV and stuff. They have no business over there. There's no trespassing zone. I don't like the kids threatening me that they're going to beat me up, that they're going to get someone else to kill me. And this is just ridiculous.
Are you or anyone else in danger right now?
I locked my doors.
All right, who is in charge of the property?
Charles Gabbard.
I'm sorry?
Charles Gabbard owns the actual club.
All right, but are you on the lease?
Oh, yeah, I leased the one unit. They just keep badgering me. I'm just sick of these silvers. Now that they're home from school, it's like, craziness.
All right, do you want you to avoid that person and then keep your doors and windows locked? An officer will be dispatched as soon as possible. Do you want the officer to contact you?
Please, yes.
All right.
Because what's going to happen is his mom's going to go out, wait for the officer, and run and say, oh, my God, I was certain he'll say, footsteps isn't true.
All right, and then I'm going to go ahead and let you go, but please call us back if anything.
Now, y'all heard that for yourselves, right? Nothing in her voice sounded fearful. Like, if anything, it sounded agitated, it sounded fed up, frustrated, all that, oh, they threatening me and I'm scared. No, none of that was heard in that call. Now, AJ's mother, Pamela, she asked a question that still echoes through everyone's mind. She asked, when does a person get shot for knocking on a door? Like, it's a simple question with a heavy, complicated answer. It speaks to the fear, to the bias, and the hair-trigger tension that exists when people refuse to see the humanity in their neighbors. What are you talking about, Kay? Oh, I'll tell you. So, June 2nd, 2023, it's past 9 o'clock at night in Ocala, and the Marion County Sheriff's Office is already on the move. They're on the way to Susan's house because of that 911 call that they got for trespassing, something that they had heard, from this same address plenty of times before. I could just imagine the call history. Jesus. But while they're mid-turn, the radio cracks again. And it kind of changes. A second 911 call comes through, and this time it ain't about a neighborly dispute. It's about gunfire. See, once Susan decided that she was going to berate the children, Israel and Isaac run home. But in the process, they accidentally left their skates in the tablet. So Susan takes it upon herself to pick up one of those skates and throws it at Israel and hits him in the back of his foot. And of course, he's upset. He's scared. He runs home and he tells his mama what happened. And y'all know mamas don't play about their babies. Okay. Especially a mama about her son. So AJ hears this and she was like, oh, really? That's what she doing? Okay, let's go get your tablet and I'm gonna go talk to her and see why she hit you. So she and her son go across the street to Unit 3 and AJ walks up to Susan's front door and she knocks. She doesn't get an answer. But, she know this heifer home because she never go any fucking where. So she knows she home. So she knocks again and again. And she's calling for Susan to come outside and face her. Now, she is kind of knocking a little heavy. And, she wants her to come outside, woman to woman, about what had been going on with the kids and what she did. But Susan didn't open the door. She didn't even turn the lock. Instead, While the door was closed and bolted tight, Susan fires a single bullet right through the wood. And the part that really gets to me is that AJ wasn't by herself. Her 10-year-old son, Israel, was standing right there, shoulder to shoulder with his mama, watching the person who was supposed to be a neighbor pull the trigger from behind a shadow. Susan is in her home and she shoots AJ through the door with a 380, striking her once in the chest. Now, across the street, the neighbors hear everything. What they hear was a single pop that interrupted the peaceful night, followed by, the kind of screams that really haunt your sleep. One resident, Phyllis Wills, said that she ran outside after hearing Israel and he's just screaming, "She shot my mama! She shot my mama!" Like, can you imagine the type of trauma that you have to deal with? And so, she runs outside. She's wanting to help this baby. She's on the ground doing CPR, trying to breathe life back into AJ because AJ is literally just fading. By the time the deputies, get there and they get out their cruisers, AJ's already unresponsive. The light in that family had been dimmed, all because of a bullet fired through a fucking locked door. Now, like I said, Susan placed 2 calls that night. The first one was for the trespassing, which you already heard, and the second one came a minute later, right after the hammer dropped. Now, let's take a listen to that second call.
911 was that just for the emergency.
Oh my God, this lady just tried to break down my door. I shot through the door. Oh my God.
Okay, repeat that address for me to make sure I have it correct. Okay, what is your name? Okay, what's going? Take a deep breath for me. Calm down.
Oh my God.
You said someone tried to break down your door. Is that correct?
Yes, the woman was screaming and yelling and she was trying to break down my door.
Okay, it was a female?
Yes. I didn't know what to do. I grabbed my gun and I shot at the door. I thought they were going to get me. Oh my God.
Okay, you said you shot at the door. Is that correct?
Yes, I shot at the door because she wouldn't go. I told her to get away and she wouldn't. She just stayed and she stayed.
Okay, where's your gun now?
It's in my bedroom. I didn't know what to do. I was panicking. This was the woman who attacked me.
Okay, do you still see the subject?
I don't know where she is. I'm still in my house. I didn't open my door to her.
Is it just only you in the home?
Yes, it's just me.
Okay, I just need you to lock all your doors and windows, okay?
I have.
Okay, I'm going to stay on the line until the deputies get there.
Okay. My son's they were going to come and kill me.
And did you know her?
Yes, he's come after me several times because of her children. Her children keep trespassing over here. They're bothering me and bothering me. They won't stop.
Is she a neighbor?
Yes.
Now, again, both calls happened within 2 minutes of each other. Like, within 2 minutes, a neighborhood dispute turned into a tragedy that would just echo across the entire country. Now, when the cops get there, they find this nightmare laid out in front of them. 35-year-old Ajike Owens, who's, known to everybody who loved her as AJ, she's lying on the ground. She's been hit once, a single 380 slug to her chest. The paramedics instantly start working on her, trying to save her. Her kids are petrified. Israel is really feeling it because he was standing right there with his mama. His mother literally saved him. The EMTs, they did what they could, rushing her to the hospital and working on her. But by the time they got there, it was over. AJ was gone. Of course, when the cuffs come out, the story starts changing. Susan told the cops she was acting in self defense. Oh, officers, I was scared for my life. They were threatening me. And then she came over and was pounding on my door aggressively. I thought she was about to kick my door in. And so the cops listen to her, and they take down her statement, and she's thinking that she got away with it. But see, detectives are trained to look past the bullshit. They looked at the physical evidence. They talked to the people who saw it go down, and the math just wasn't mathing. There was absolutely no sign that AJ tried to force her way into Susan's apartment. There was no damage to the frame, no entry, no nothing. And so to the investigators, AJ didn't pose an imminent threat. She was just a mother looking for an answer standing on a porch. AJ's neighbor, Phyllis Wills, she said, Susan used to come outside all the time and harass our kids. Everybody in this neighborhood has feuded with this lady over our children. Now, after the news hit local media that a black mother of 4 had been killed by her neighbor on the basis of self-defense, baby, the whole country woke up. This wasn't just another tragedy in Ocala. It became a lightning rod. We're talking about the stand your ground laws, the Florida statute that says you can use deadly force if you truly believe your life is on the line. But now people are asking, well, where do you draw the line between standing your ground and just being a predator? And no sooner was that question asked than attorney Ben Crump answered. He stepped into the light almost immediately. He told all the world watching that this wasn't just about a law, it was about the bias placed into the system. He called it what it was, an unconscionable killing of a mother who was doing nothing more than knocking on a door to protect her kids. Now, initially, Susan wasn't arrested. She used the whole, oh my God, I feared for my life, so I shot her defense. And meanwhile, Sheriff Billy Woods, oh, he was feeling the heat, honey. Satan's fingernails was nipping at his toes. On June 5th, he told the press that they were moving slow to make sure that they were moving right, basically saying that they didn't want to fuck up. See, at first, the only story that they had was Susan's. They had to wait to, talk to witnesses, and that meant sitting down with AJ's babies who had just watched the unthinkable happen. And all that while, Susan was in her home like nothing happened, living her best life. Her family came down to be with her. They having a little mini reunion because, she did just kill somebody and the entire fucking community hated her. So it's not likely that she was going to leave the house. And that very same community wasn't just going to sit back and wait. Very next day, 30 protesters were outside of the Marion County Judicial Center. They were loud. They were fed up. They wanted Susan Lorincz in handcuffs immediately. And the state attorney, William Gladson, he had to come out and talk to the crowd. Like he was out there trying to preach patience and telling everybody that they were still scrubbing through the digital records and the forensic evidence. And, he didn't want to rush it and blow the case on a technicality. And I get that. He wanted to make sure that when they swung, they didn't miss, which makes sense. But I'm just like, damn, you can't keep the bitch in jail during your investigation. I'm just saying. But sure enough, 4 days later on June 6, 2023, after the interviews were done and the video was reviewed, 5-0 finally came for Susan. State Attorney Bill Gladson said, get that ass. Now, AJ's mom, Pamela, she said to me, it told me that for 4 days, my daughter's life didn't matter. For 4 days, it said it's okay to shoot a black woman for knocking on a door of a white woman to ask why you took an iPad, why you threw a skate at my child. And she wasn't wrong, because what the fuck is wrong with you? But I'm trying so hard to make it to fair or foul, y'all. But yeah, Susan got hit hard. She was charged with manslaughter with a firearm, culpable negligence, battery, and assault. Attorney Benjamin Crump wanted her to be charged with murder. I agree. And it was, at the discretion of the prosecution to do that. But Sheriff Woods, he didn't mince words at the press conference. He said it plain as day. Stand your ground don't mean you get to fire through a locked door. He called it exactly what it was, a killing. So she gets arrested and has a bond of $151,000, and she was held at the jail and placed on suicide watch. Monday, June 15th, 2023, the funeral was held for AJ at the Meadowbrook Church in Ocala. Reverend Al Sharpton delivered the eulogy, and he used the eulogy as a call to action. See, okay, I understand the need to do that, but I'm kind of like, all right, also let's focus on AJ's life too. Like, yes, you need to bring awareness and attention to the cause, but just don't overshadow who she was as a person. Like, and I know some may not agree with me on that, but a funeral to me is like a celebration of life. I feel like her pastor, her, local people should have gave the eulogy and then had the reverend speak, maybe later or at a different time. But that's just my opinion. I don't know. During the funeral service, the children were promised scholarships by local ministers to historically black colleges in Florida. I love that. They're already going to be set. They don't have to worry about their college tuition as long as they go to an HBCU in Florida. And I mean, we can think of a couple. Now, the very next day, the funniest shit happens. Y'all, when I saw this paperwork, I giggled. The owner of the actual rental property, Charles Gabert, the one that told them kids they could play there, the one that told Susan, hey, this is my property. It's okay for these kids to play in this open area. Why did he file an eviction on Susan? While she's in jail, he's evicting her. I'm sorry, y'all. I don't know why that's so funny to me, but it is. You in jail and your landlord is evicting you. Anyway, so in January of 2024, Susan is in court demanding a speedy trial. Y'all, she told a judge that she had a list of medical concerns and was worried about her receiving the proper treatment that she was getting in county jail. So she wanted to resolve her case quickly. Honey, if nothing else, your ass is entitled. The foolishness is very real. She literally told the judge, I don't know how much longer I can survive. Listen, that judge better than me, honey, because the way I would have been like, girl, fuck you. But, the judge denied her request for a speedy trial, and her ass sat in there for another 8 months. Okay, so let's fast forward to August 16th, 2024. It's a whole year later when Susan's trial begins. Baby, time was not on Susan's side. She was aging like spoiled milk, looking all fermented and shit, sunken low. And the prosecutor for the case was Adam Smith, with the judge Robert Hodges was presiding over this case. So Susan had two attorneys, Amanda Sizemore and Morris Carranza. When I tell y'all the tension in that courtroom was thick enough to cut with a knife, prosecution brought forward witnesses, including both 911 dispatchers that took the back-to-back calls, and AJ's own children did interviews. Now, they didn't want to bring them to the stand, so they decided to use their initial interviews in the trial. Now, AJ's youngest son, Titus, said that Susan allegedly called him and his friends bastards. He further claimed that Susan once said, this isn't the Underground Railroad slave. Ooh, baby, she's better than me because y'all would be talking to Susan through a seance, okay? You would need a Ouija board to talk to her. So they started bringing up people to testify. Rosalie Smith was a neighborhood resident. She lived about a football field away, and she gets on the stand and she testifies to hearing loud banging and pounding on Susan's door, as well as a woman's voice shouting prior to the gunshot. And she was one of the neighbors who called 911 as well. Now, law enforcement officers, they testify regarding the immediate aftermath of the shooting. The lead detective, so he reads this letter that Susan wrote to the kids the night that she got arrested. Y'all, I'm only going to read a few sentences, but this chick, whew, I'm in awe. I really am. She said, I am so sorry for your loss. I never meant to kill your mother. I was terrified your mom was going to kill me. I shot out of fear. Okay, this chick here is something else. Ooh. Now, he also presented some recordings and some profanity-laced police interviews from June of 2023 that kind of contradicted the timeline that Susan claimed during her 911 calls. Tony Terpstra was a 3D forensic analyst, and he was called by the defense. He created some animated terrestrial radar scan visualizations of the crime scene to kind of map out the positions and trajectories and of both Susan and AJ. And they also called Roy Bedard, which was an expert in educational psychology and the use of force decision making under stressful circumstances. So they called him and all of these different people to kind of provide context on the reaction times and the fear responses. Now, Susan decided that she didn't want to testify or speak. Very smart. She just wanted her attorneys to stress that although she did admit to using racial slurs, that she was the perfect neighbor, which was bullshit. So the prosecutors really delivered like a powerful closing argument. They said Susan showed a depraved disregard for life. There was no self-defense here. There was just a closed door and a woman with a gun. So on August 16th, 2024, the jury took that with them to deliberate. Y'all, it only took them 2 hours. 2 hours, and they came back with their verdict. Guilty. She was found guilty of manslaughter by use of a firearm. And she was brought back on November 25th, 2024 to be sentenced. Now, this is where stuff gets a little tricky, okay? So like I said, she gets this sentencing or whatever, and she gets the opportunity to speak at her sentence. And this time she has another letter and she wants to publicly address the family. And she says, I'm not going to read all of it, but she said, "It is with heavy heart and a great remorse I write this letter to you. First and foremost, I am so sorry that I took AJ's life. I never intended to kill her. The shooting was not about race." Mm, okay. If you say so. So, that's going on. And the judge, of course, he, speaks himself. And, she's just, "Oh, I was just profoundly sad," and all of that. And the judge, he really, kind of said some real shit. Like, he said, while no sentence can ever restore the life that was taken from us, the court's decision will, send a strong message about the value of Ajike's life and the importance of justice for victims of senseless violence. And so he ended up giving her a sentence of 25 years due to the indiscriminate nature of the shooting. And he tells her, he said, "I find that the shooting was completely unnecessary. In this case, Ms. Lawrence was behind the door. The door was locked. She had already called law enforcement. They were en route. She knew they were en route. She was in a relatively safe position. For some reason, she went into her room and found a gun. She could have stayed in the room and put another locked door between her and Ms. Owens, but she came back out, put herself in front of the door, and at the time she fired the gun through the door, she was safe. There was no indication that she did not understand what she was doing or that shooting a person was against the law. She knew." And that's facts, because remember I told y'all it was less than 2 minutes in between the two calls. So that means as soon as she hung up with 911, when she made that trespassing call, she took her weeble wobble ass back into her room, got her gun, and walked back to the front door. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, Judge Hodges opted for a 25-year term rather than the maximum, noting evidence of Susan's childhood abuse and mental health struggles. Fuck her. However, the judge denied the defense's request for a more lenient sentence below the state guidelines, stating that the shooting was completely unnecessary, as I said before, and based more in anger than in fear. And he also noted the profound lifelong harm that's been inflicted on AJ's 4 children. Susan Lorincz is now sitting behind bars at the Homestead Correctional Institution in Florida as inmate C72438, and she is scheduled to be released January 29th, 2048. Oh, but if you think that this story ends with a prison cell, think again. In the words of Rafiki from The Lion King, wrong again. Here's where things take an interesting turn. In 2025, just last year, AJ's family filed a wrongful death lawsuit on both the property owner to hold him accountable as well as on Susan. And here's the really messed up part. Susan is actually trying to fight back from the inside. She claims AJ's children lied in their depositions and trespassed on her property prior to the shooting. It is not your freaking property. She claims one of the children lied about her allegedly throwing a skate at him. So she writes a letter saying that she's planning to countersue for defamation and slander. Now, y'all listen to this bullshit. Now, I'm telling y'all, if y'all don't like my imitations, if y'all don't like when I do my voices, please skip ahead because I'm for sure reading this in one of my voices, okay? All right. So she writes, in response to general allegations, Ajike Owens and her children were trespassing. There were multiple no trespassing signs on the property. Miss Owens did, in fact, scream, threaten to beat me multiple times while trespassing. Miss Owens was instructed to stay off the property along with her children by the county sheriff's department. At no time did I file erroneous allegations. Miss Diaz was not present and in another state until Ajike died. Miss Owens did not knock politely and speak reasonably on June 2nd, 2023. She pounded and screamed profanities like a lunatic. Miss Owens' children had lied to her and stated I hit Israel with a roller skate. During his encounter with the prosecutors Buxman and Smith, Israel recanted that the roller skate hit him and only came near him. Assault and battery charges were dropped. In depositions, all the children told different stories about their location at the time of the shooting. Israel was over 60 feet away at the mailboxes. The female juvenile who testified at the trial stated she was an eyewitness to Ajike Owens throwing a metal sign and seen said sign strike me in the leg. I was 7 weeks post-operative for my neck fusion when it occurred. Uriel Bell testified in his depositions that Miss Owens would come onto my sidewalk by my patio and threaten to fight me. He testified that she was trying to scare me so that I would stop calling Marion County sheriffs. In Israel and Uriel's depositions, Israel and his sister would come over to my apartment and do ding-dong ditch, which is when the children knock on your door and run away. One of the children also testifies that a child struck Miss Lawrence with a bottle in his depositions. The fact that Miss Diaz is now asking for money goes directly against her saying no for the family in the sentencing paperwork. I now wish to countersue for slander, libel, and defamation of character. For damages that exceed $50,000, Miss Diaz, Isaac Owens, Israel Owens, the third juvenile individually, and Charles Gabert for not securing the property directly and allowing Miss Owens and her children for harassment, physical threats of harm, and mental duress. Completion of fact and expert discovery to follow. If you don't get your antiquated ass, you know what? See, it's chicks like her that just really piss me off for real. Like the nerve that you got. Ooh, I ain't never wanted to do fair or foul so bad on somebody in my life until this wench. People across America are shaking their heads at the audacity that this chick got. Like, even with the evidence, even with the testimony, even with the guilty verdict, you still trying to play the victim. But the facts are the facts, mama. A mother is gone. A family is forever changed. And the ground that you tried to stand on ended up being the very thing that gave way under your ass. Now, the trial of Susan Lorincz might be over, but the conversation, oh, baby, that's just getting started. AJ Owens' name has become a rallying cry across the country, sparking massive debates about these stand your ground laws. People are looking at the fine print and realizing that the way that these laws are written is feeding into a dangerous shoot first, ask questions later mentality. Even the high level legal scholars are weighing in. A professor from William and Mary put it plain. This whole idea of self-defense has mutated. It was supposed to be a last resort, the thing you do when you have no other choice. But now it's being used as a shield for people who are just looking for a reason to pull a trigger. And let's keep it a band. This conversation is deeply tied to the racial bias that still haunts us today. It's about who gets to feel threatened and who gets to stay alive, ultimately. AJ's mother, Pamela Diaz, along with a couple of close friends, they took all that pain and they turned it into purpose. They launched a nonprofit group called Standing in the Gap. Like, this isn't just a name, it's a mission. They're providing real deal financial help and counseling for families who have been affected by racially motivated violence. And they're also hitting the pavement on the policy side. They're using their momentum from the GoFundMe and partnering with national advocates. Like, the Owens family is pushing to either clarify or straight up repeal these stand your ground provisions, not just in Florida, but across the map. They want to make sure no other mother has to worry about a shoot first culture taking their child away. And if you really want to see the raw truth of what happened that night, Netflix definitely jumped.
Suffering from dry, tired, irritated eyes? Don't let dry eyes win. Use Sustain Pro. It hydrates, restores, and protects dry eyes for up to 12 hours. Sustain Pro. Triple action dry eye relief.
Into the game. In 2025, they released a documentary titled The Perfect Neighbor. And it didn't hold anything back. It used the actual body cam footage, and they sat down with the witnesses and investigators who lived through it. And the film didn't just premiere at Sundance. It walked away with the 2025 Directing Award. And when it hit Netflix, it went straight to #1 in the US and #3 in the world. People everywhere are seeing AJ's story, seeing the truth of what went down behind that door, and they aren't looking away. So Susan is forced to face the truth whether she likes it or not. Back in Ocala, the community is making sure that AJ's memory is etched into the very bricks of the city. There's plans in the works for a massive mural in downtown Ocala. Like, it's more than just a paint on a wall. The organizers say it's about a commitment to healing through truth. As to AJ's 4 children, Israel, Isaac, Africa, and little Titus, her mother, Pamela, has been the rock for these kids. But she's been very open about her struggles. They've dealt with night terrors and the kind of deep-seated anxiety that comes when your safe space is violated. Israel blamed himself for the longest because he was right there with his mother when she died. But here's the thing about AJ's kids. They've got her DNA. They are resilient. With the help of the Standing in the Gap Foundation and their grandmother and a community that refuses to let them fall, they are pushing forward. They've had access to specialized counseling to navigate their trauma. They're still active in school and sports, carrying that teen mom spirit that their mother instilled in them. They aren't just surviving, they're honoring her by living out loud just like she did. But, make no mistake, the void that she left is a hole that no amount of time can fully fill. When we look at urban true crime, we often focus on the what and the how, but the who is so much more important because AJ wasn't just a statistic. She was a daughter of Brooklyn and North Carolina. She was a product of the Lake County school system. She was a woman who loved big and loved out loud. AJ was a mother, a daughter, and a protector. While her life was cut short by a bullet fired in fear and hate, her legacy is being written in laws that are changing, the families being helped, and the art that's telling her story to the world. She wasn't just a neighbor, she was the heart of her community. And as long as we keep speaking her name and that heart keeps beating. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of Ajike Owens and the rotten Susan Lorincz. And now it is time for Fair or Foul, where we look at the justice system to determine if the sentencing is indeed fair or if it was just some bullshit that's going to have us sitting back saying, what the fuck? Her getting 25 years? Not acceptable to me. I get that she's old and her ass is probably going to croak before she's released, but she deserves life. You were a bully in the neighborhood. Like, you called the police on these kids so many times unnecessarily. You were trying to suck the joy and the life out of the entire neighborhood. You the one that moved into this area where everybody knew each other, where everybody was getting along. There were no problems until you moved in. Like, if y'all are unfamiliar with doing a crime analysis on your area, let me explain to you how that works. See, me, I'm the type of person where if I'm living in a certain neighborhood, I'm going to do a crime analysis, which means I'm going to go check to see how many times 911 has been called and what type of calls they're responding to in the neighborhood. Because it helps me, determine if it's a safe place to live. And this area where Susan and AJ lived was essentially peaceful. This area was chill before Susan with her Droopy the dog looking ass moved in. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, Google Droopy the dog and then look at her and tell me that they don't look alike. Like, you, Susan Lorincz, are the definition of a waste of skin. You're a waste of a human being. The audacity that you have to sit there and be behind bars and still try to make yourself be a victim. You knew what you did. You threw that fucking skate at that kid and started all of this. You've traumatized these babies for the rest of their lives. They lost their mama because you want to sit up here and be phone thugs in harmony and call the cops on people every day. You wouldn't even call the cops on the parents. No, you was calling them on the kids. And for what? Over land that you didn't even own? Newsflash, honey. You moved into a rental property with the key word being rental. Charles Gabert owns that land, and he had no problem with the kids playing there. At most, you had the patio. At most, you had a few feet of land between your apartment and the next unit. But to sit there and think that you got the whole fucking field, your motherfucking name ain't Jerry Jones. Have y'all seen the area that she's talking about? Okay. Google her apartment, or better yet, watch The Perfect Neighbor on Netflix, and you'll see what I'm talking about, because they actually show the apartments that she was living in and the area where the kids were playing. Google that. Please look it up. Susan actually thought that shit belonged to her. But you ain't about no property. You rent it each month. So that does not make it yours. It still makes it the landowner's. And if the landowner says that them kids can play there, then guess what? That's exactly what the fuck they can do. But you want to sit here and act like it's your world. So since you such a thug, since you so quick to call the cops and shit, step your ass outside that house. But you knew that you wasn't going to do that. You was comfortable calling the cops. But then when they were coming for your ass and wanting answers, now all of a sudden you want to run and hide and play victim and clutch your chest. Nah, baby, that's not how that works. That was some trifling ish. Of course, AJ is going to come and want to get answers for her kid. You threw a skate at him. These are kids. But you knew better. You knew that you couldn't go after the parents. That neighborhood was calm as hell until you fucking moved in. Did you ever think to talk to the parents? Did you ever think to try to be nice to the children before talking down to them? Oh, but then when the cops get here, you want to all of a sudden act like you got all these medical conditions and medical problems and clutching your chest and shit. Drop, bitch. Like, I watched the interviews that she gave. That had me so pissed. She walking around here acting like she's just so decrepit and crippled and stuff, but then be the main bitches that sit there and got guns hidden in their fucking bras and God knows where else. Like, it has me, y'all, it has me so furious right now. Like, the fact of the matter is, you was on some BS. And what really pisses me off is that even after you get sentenced, even after you get told that you're doing 25 years, now you want to sue for libel and defamation? It can't be defamation if it's true. Everything that you're trying to sue for is true. So you want to sit here and say, oh, because one child recanted their story, now it's libel and defamation. Multiple people said the same thing about you. Multiple people said that you were a Karen. Multiple people said that you were a bully. Multiple people said that you were a shit starter. Multiple people said that you brought drama. Multiple people said that it was a bunch of problems after you moved in. So what the hell is your excuse now? Just because one child said something and recanted, don't mean everybody else did too. You want to sit up here and talk about AJ was banging on your door and all of that? Girl, please. Even if she did bang on your door, even if she was screaming and hollering, that does not give you a right to shoot her. Take your wobblehead ass on into your room and lock the door, because the front door was already locked. Just like the judge said, you could have kept going to your room. You could have locked that door too and called the cops, because it ain't like you don't know how to do it. That don't give you the right to shoot her, because if you was really scared, you would have called the cops before you shot her. It ain't like you didn't know how, but you didn't give it any thought. Because as soon as she starts banging on your door, you waste no time and you go into your room and you go get your gun and you walk back down the hallway. You had ample time to stop. But because you having a bad day, you shoot her for what? Because her kids is skating in an area where they were told that they could be? For what? Because her kids was playing in an area that the landlord agreed was his property, by the way, that they could play in? You shot her for what, huh? Because she was doing like any mother and approached the adult and wanted to know why you came after her kids? For what? What was the reason?
What was the reason?
Clearly, homegirl wasn't getting no dick or a man, nothing. Because if you did, I guarantee you, you wouldn't have been doing this stupid stuff. Your ass ain't got no man, no kids, no life, no nothing. And you gonna rot in that prison until you die. And even if you did get the opportunity to get out in what, 2048, you're gonna be old as hell. Now you walking around here looking all depressed and sunken, face looking like a permanent stroke. Look, if the sunken place was a person, it would be you, you miserable, joyless, insecure, lonely, callous wench. Like, whew, I'm sorry, but I really wish that they had charged her with flat out murder. Because you knew what you were going to do. You knew that you was going to shoot her. You didn't fear for your life. Like on this one, I'm glad that the Marion County Sheriff's Department did their job. Like, but you know what? A part of me wonders though, had Benjamin Crump not stepped in or had, all of these high profile individuals not stepped in, what would have happened? Because it took 4 days to arrest her. And that was because protesters had to go outside and sit outside the sheriff's office. Like, I mean, yeah, it's good that, she was arrested and everything, but this woman was walking around like nothing happened. This woman was walking around free as a bird. Like, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that the laws are being changed and that people are taking a closer look at the stand your ground laws and what they really mean. Because best believe if the roles were reversed and AJ was the one that shot through that door, there would have been no question how fast she would have been in jail. But thankfully, she had people that fought for her and thankfully she had people that had firsthand knowledge of who, Susan really was. And, we can only hope that AJ's kids grow up to become the great individuals that their mother, wanted them to be. And I hope that while Susan continues to sit in prison, that she truly does right and gets right in the eyes of God, but I doubt she will. And I know that's bad to say, but I mean, I hope that she don't find joy because sorry, not sorry, she don't deserve it. And yes, I know prison is supposed to be, about reform and second chances, but her getting 25 years is getting off easy to me. Like, yes, she's old, but that means she still got opportunity to get out. She got something to look forward to. And knowing the type of chick that she is, she may very well live at 2048 so that she can get out of prison and go back to living her life. But, I'm also looking at it like, okay, at the end of the day, karma always finds its way back around. Like, look at George Zimmerman. He was another individual that tried to use the whole stand your ground. That imbecile had all that money that he made off of killing Trayvon Martin. And, although that was like, 14, 15 years ago, look at his ass now. He was on top for a good little minute. He was making all that money in the world. And now his ass is homeless and can't get a job anywhere. Justice. Karma. Like, as sweet as it is. And for Susan's colorless California raisin looking head ass, for her to get her karma, oh, I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Like, I hope that every dollar that she makes inside that prison goes straight to AJ's kids or the family. I know that probably sounds messed up, but you took somebody's mama. And it wasn't even over anything serious. Like, once again, it was over land that you didn't even own, but you felt so entitled. You felt like everybody owed you something. You can't punish people for what the mistakes of others did. You got mistreated, and so you took it out on other people. You felt a certain way about how you came up, and you carried that resentment and harbored those feelings all of that time, and you took it out on babies. You took it out on kids. If it were up to me, you would have had that nice little $42 cocktail a long time ago, or you would be sitting in there for the rest of your life suffering in solitary confinement with no communication to the outside world. Or even better, shit, put you with a cellmate named Peaches and hope she built like a wall. But for whatever reason, they only charged you with manslaughter. The judge took it easy on you, trying to consider your background of what you went through. Oh, but for me, yeah, it's a no, big dog. Y'all know I have had some pretty messed up stuff happen. I've had a messed up background. I've had some bad things happen to me. But guess what? I don't let that carry into my present. I don't let it determine my actions. Instead, I excel despite of it. I succeed despite of it. I don't let it define me. I create a new definition, and you have the opportunity to do the same. So him taking 5 years off and giving you 25 years versus what, the 30? He clearly has sympathy for your ass, but I don't. You deserved every year and then some. That is all for this week's episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast. You can follow the show on the various streams on Instagram and TikTok at Infamous One Podcast. That's a number one, by the way, not spelled out. And you can leave a review there. On X, it's Infamous One Pod, where you can also leave a review. On Facebook, you can join the private discussion group. The Facebook group is the Infamous Ones discussion group, but please be advised, if you don't answer the questions, you ain't getting in. Y'all know how it works by now, but once you get in, come on in, take a seat, tell us what you're sipping on and where you're from. The show streams on multiple streaming services like Odyssey, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and so on, so please leave a review. It only takes a few seconds. The reviews matter. Like I said, I'm still trying to get my Apple reviews up, so let's get to a couple of those. The first review comes from Spotify from kidsfirst29.jj. Wow, that is a unique username. And it's on the Like Father, Like Son episode, which was the episode about the pastor that set his wife up to be killed, and he had his son do it. The review says, wait a minute, I think I watched a movie on Tubi with this same storyline. I wonder, was it based off this or just a coincidence? But honey, I live you down and the way you tell stories. Keep up the great work. Thumbs up emoji. Why, thank you. And yes, the movie was based off the actual story. I believe the movie is called Sins of the Father, and it stars Dietrich Hayden and Terrell Hill. It was based off of, what he had his son do for him. His son had like a cognitive issue as well as sickle cell. And so he had his own son kill his wife. Nasty sucker. Then turned around and slept with the son's friend. Nasty ass. But yeah, that was it. Thank you for your review. The next review comes from Apple Podcasts, and it's a 5-star from the Bougie Coach. And it's captioned, and it says, it's lit. Keep doing your thing, sis. That was it. Straight to the point. Thank you, Bougie Coach. Y'all keep racking up them reviews. I'm almost at 200 on Apple Podcasts. I need y'all to drop some reviews. Like, I appreciate y'all that listen and review for real. The only way I can be seen and pushed on these streaming services is from the reviews, and I'm fighting to stay afloat. All right, mobbers, remember to support the Black Box. Y'all know that I just drop episodes whenever. There's no real time frame. You never know as to when that's going to happen. I told y'all I was going to be dropping this week and still am, so stay supporting the Black Box. The Infamous Ones Murder Mystery Virtual Contest is going on right now. Each week, I will post a clue in the Facebook group only via video. You will see the clue in the group only via video and get an opportunity to win the prize. The first clue has already been posted, and on May 24th, there will be a live show via the Facebook group where the winner will be announced. There's going to be a winner for May, June, July, August, and September. So that's 5 winners. And then on October 10th, there will be a live show in Atlanta, Georgia. That show, each of the winners from the prior contest will be entered for a chance to win a $250 cash prize. And then there's going to be a secondary raffle for a $100 cash prize. So that will be at the live show in Atlanta, October 10th, 2026. Details on the location will be coming soon. Tickets will be available on Eventbrite starting July 1st. But yes, the murder mystery, virtual night is officially here. So keep paying attention. Oh, ad space is still available if you would like to have your business mentioned on any episode. Still running an ad special for $30. You can inbox me or reach out to me via the Facebook group. If you want to support the show, or if you're feeling the spirit, meaning that liquor that y'all been sipping on and that water that I've been sipping on, click the link at the bottom of the screen from whatever app you're listening to this episode on and hit listener support to give. You can also donate via the Cash App at $Infamous1Pod. That's $INFAMOUSONEPOD. And donations go toward court documentations, interviews, JPay, all of that. Now, if you have a case that you want to hear more on that you feel has been ignored in the Black community, or if you want to inquire about ad space, or if you want to leave a review, send an email to infamous1pod@gmail.com. That's INFAMOUSONEPOD@gmail.com. Once again, people, please share, share, share. This podcast is growing by the day, and it means the world, so keep sharing. I'm trying to get these reviews up, y'all, especially on Apple Podcasts. Like, let's be like Sierra and run it up, please. Thank you. Until then, y'all know what it is. I'm your girl, Kay. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see y'all next week with a new episode. Stay mobbing, y'all. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Infamous Ones, a true crime podcast hosted by Kay. Be sure to like and comment on your favorite podcast platform and subscribe so that you never miss an episode.